Alvin Bragg makes it official. He lists the potential underlying crimes in the Trump indictment. Let's talk about what that means and what I'm talking about in this particular matter. So let's back up and talk about the criminal indictment, the felony counts that Donald Trump is charged with by the Manhattan DA, Alvin Bragg. He is charged with falsifying business records in the first degree. And in New York, falsifying a business record is a misdemeanor unless it's done in order to conceal or commit or aid in the commission of another crime. And everyone was wondering, what other crime is it that Donald Trump intended to commit or conceal when he falsified those business records? And if you remember what he did, he paid off Stormy Daniels through Michael Cohen so that he did not have to have that come out right before the 2016 election, because he wanted to influence the election improperly, actually, because what happened was what he did was he engaged Michael Cohen through the Alan Pecker and American Media, the National Enquirer, to catch and kill the story. And in order to do it and cover up his tracks, he had Michael Cohen pay it, and then he paid Michael Cohen back by making separate checks over time, structuring it to make it look like legal fees when there weren't any legal fees, and making false business entries into the Trump organization, books and records, in order to cover it up. He also doubled the payments or grossed up the wages so that Michael Cohen can claim it as income tax or as income and still get paid and reimburse the full amount. And that's what they did to falsify it and cover up the crime. So Alvin Bragg, everyone's been asking, what is the underlying crime? Was it a federal election crime? Was it a state election crime? Was it a tax crime? What is it that Alvin Bragg is charging him with? So finally, there was a filing by the assistant district attorney, the prosecutor in this case, on last Friday, which said that Donald Trump falsified the business records with an intent to commit, aid, or conceal state crimes that might include a conspiracy to unlawfully promote an election candidate, tax fraud, falsifying business records, or a federal election crime, and they listed that one last. Now, this came out now because Trump has filed a motion in federal court to try to have this case removed from state court where it's being prosecuted to federal court, because he's trying to judge shop and jury shop. He thinks he'll have a better jury pool if it's federal. And he doesn't like the state court judge, Judge Merchan. He has made that very clear. So I think it came out now, and the reason the prosecutors are putting this out now is to signal to the judge, the federal judge, Alvin Hellerstein, that, you know what, Judge, this isn't in order. The only crime here that he intended to commit or conceal or aid in committing, it wasn't only the federal election crimes, the way Donald Trump is saying. And that's his hook to try to get it into federal court, by the way, saying, oh, it's because it was a federal election. This is sponsored by Lomi. I have a big family, and that means there's usually a lot of trash left over by the time the week comes to an end. And frankly, I used to feel a bit guilty about this, but then I got a Lomi. Now that I have a Lomi, it's changed the way I think about my food waste. It transforms my garbage into gold at the push of a button. It's a countertop electric composter that turns food scraps into dirt in under 4 hours. Now I love composting, and plus it makes cooking at home more fun, and there's no food rotting in my garbage, smelling up the kitchen, and I don't feel guilty about throwing food waste into landfills. Thanks to Lomi, I only have to take out the trash once a week, and it's hassle-free, mess-free experience with no more gross leaking bags. Here's something cool too. I turn my waste into a nutrient-rich dirt that I can feed to my plants, lawn, or garden, and that means it's not going into these landfills producing methane gas. So I get to help the environment and make my life easier. And all my food scraps, plant clippings, and even those leftovers I forgot in the back of the fridge go into my garden, helping me grow more nutritious food right in my backyard. I learned through Lomi that food waste makes up a huge portion of our personal carbon footprint. And by reducing the amount of food I send to the landfill, I'm helping do my part for the planet while also feeding my garden. And my neighbor next door brings over her food waste and puts it in my Lomi because I've convinced her that we should do this as well together. Whether you want to start making a positive environmental impact or just grow a beautiful garden, Lomi's perfect for you. Head to lomi.com/legalaf and use the promo code LEGALAF to get $50 off your Lomi. That's $50 off when you head to lomi.com/legalaf and use promo code LEGALAF at checkout. What Alvin Bragg's office did, the Manhattan DA's office, my old office, what they did was, it was smart. They said, no, there's at least 3 potential state crimes that he committed in order to bump up the falsifying business records to a felony. And and I think the timing, the reason this came out now is partly to signal to the federal judge, you can leave this in state court. So what the prosecutor in this case also did was they reminded Donald Trump that, you know what, although these are the crimes that they believe that he intended to commit or conceal or to aid, don't forget, he doesn't have to have completed the crime. He just had to have criminal intent, which was in his mind when he was doing it. What they said was that, you know what, guess what? Prosecutors are free to raise other legal theories at trial. And so you don't have to commit yourself to any particular one. So in this obviously paralleled what Alvin Bragg said in his press conference when they laid out their statement of facts. And, you know, they also said, and I thought this was a good quote in their filing, that Trump will be fully informed by millions of pages of discovery, including witness statements and grand jury minutes and exhibits, as soon as Judge Merchan, the state court judge, tells Trump what he can and cannot do. So on May 23rd, which is coming up, there's going to be a hearing where Judge Merchan and tells Donald Trump, who will appear remotely, so via video of some sort, what he can and cannot do with the discovery, because there is a protective order on this discovery, which means Donald Trump can't publish it. He can only use it to prepare for trial. He can only view it when he's talking to his attorneys or in the presence of his attorneys. And if he puts this out on the internet or somehow uses this inappropriately, he will get in big trouble, because this can only be used to prepare for the trial. And what Judge Merchan is trying to do here is he's trying to preserve the integrity of the trial and not have this tried in the court of public opinion, which is exactly what Donald Trump will try and do by putting this all out for the world to see. So again, just to recap, the government or the people here, the prosecutors, they don't have to prove that he intended to commit or conceal any particular crime. Therefore, the indictment doesn't have to identify any particular crime, but that Trump is not entitled even to this information in a bill of particulars. But she said, nevertheless, the DA's office is going to supply this information. And in this way, like I said, I think this is partly in order to signal to the federal judge that this belongs in state court. So, that's what's happening in that case. Stay tuned May 23rd for the court appearance. And this case will go to trial sometime, hopefully in early 2024. But that's what's going on right now at the Manhattan DA's office.
Hey, Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.